Hello again, everyone. Michael here with Felicity. November 8033 Foxtrot, a Cessna Flight training device that I built right here at home. It is the 9th of January, 2023. Hope everyone has had a decent week since we got to hang out. I think it's been about a week or so. I think last Tuesday was the last time that we were able to chit-chat. And we started developing an airport for X-Plane. The airport itself has been closed. It's been closed for some time now. But it is still there as a visual landmark, so we are going to go ahead and develop it in 3D for use in X-Plane 11 and for distribution in X-Plane 12. Shouldn't take us too much longer to get it finished up. Got most of it. I don't want to say most of it, but a lot of it done last week. So let's jump over to PlaneMaker. I do have PlaneMaker, WED, the World Editor for X-Plane, and let me bring that up. And I've already got our project open, and we'll just kind of recap what we've done so far, and we'll look at what we want to continue to do. Bear with me while I get this switched over here. Alright, well, that seemed to be quicker than I expected it to. I found this handy little software program that allows me to split my 4K monitor into 4 separate quadrants, and it allows me to maximize windows within those quadrants, almost kind of like 4 separate displays, and it's made placing the overlays on the streaming software a lot easier. So here we are in WED. We've got our project open. And let me unlock this, and let's recap what we've got here. We drew the asphalt driveway. We put a ranch style house in. We put a swimming pool with the patio, which, if we, it's kind of corresponds with that swimming pool there. This is the former taxiway, from what I could tell. And there's a hangar and a couple what used to be probably a hangar for an aircraft. It's no longer a hangar, most likely, since the runway's closed. So we dropped some 3D objects. What I do these for X-Plane, so Laminar limits us to the objects that are supplied with the Laminar library. So there are some limitations. We could do a custom facade to match the footprint, but sometimes they don't necessarily match the elements that may be around it, which may be kind of rustic. And then you've got this shiny facade that are in there. So it's kind of a catch-22 when it comes to gateway scenery design. You gotta use your imagination on a lot of it, but what I look for is a decent overall VFR footprint. If somebody's flying along, yes, they can recognize this airport from this airport diagram that they're looking at, with just has silhouettes on it. That's kind of my goal. Obviously, it's not applicable to this one. You won't find a chart for this. A, it's closed, and B, it's private. I don't know many private airstrip owners that actually chart their airstrips. So let's jump back over to Google Earth, which we can use as a visual reference only. Remember, that is the key. Visual reference only. We cannot use it to draw our scenery due to copyright reasons, and most of the time it's not even Google's imagery that you're looking at. But let's bring that up, and we will find our airport and go from there. Let's see. Earth. Okay. We should be able to be seeing Google Earth if I set that up correctly. And we are looking for 40.154 minus 83.275. And what I'm doing is I'm putting in the latitude and longitude coordinates from my airport that I'm working on in WED. And that should bring us to that location. Alright, here we are. So we do have it got us right smack dab in the center of the old runway. Let's zoom in here. If we go down and try and grab a street view, let's see if we can do that. Great, that's cool. So, and as you can see, what is left of the runway during the time this photo was taken is now, we're in Ohio and soybeans common. That is actually soybean growing right there. So the former runway is now soybean. We see remnants of the closed runway X, which we went ahead and modeled in our scenery here. Alright, so there's our closed X, which, you know, now that I think about it, that may actually be a little bit too close comparatively to what we were looking at here. Yes, I think I want to move that back just a bit. And since I grouped it all together last time, we're just going to slide that back. That looks good there. Okay. Let's quickly take a double look at our boundaries, see where we're working with. Okay. I want to get these trees in, so we still need to draw our forest. In fact, I'm going to extend this boundary just a little bit. And then I can encompass that whole tree line all the way down, which is going to be kind of interesting for the approach. And what else are we missing? Tell you what, let's jump back over to Google Earth and take another quick visual here. I'm not gonna worry about drawing the fence. I guess I could. Let's see if we can see what type of fence that might be. Alright, we got a split rail fence. Not sure if we're gonna find that in WED. We'll take a look. I remember right, this is a horse farm over here, which would explain the horse rail fence. And this area actually isn't too far from me whatsoever. It's part of the reason why I'm doing it, is trying to, within X-Plane, you know, when I take off from my home airport in X-Plane, I'm trying to get everything to kind of match. You know, especially a lot of these 2D strips that don't have a boundary, they don't line up nearly with the actual runway. Especially if you're using ortho scenery, it doesn't look very good at all. What else? That's right, there's a basketball hoop. That's what we were looking at. So, this former taxiway or hangar area now has a basketball hoop. See, that's an awning. It's gonna be it would be difficult to draw and wed unless I'm using a custom facade. And in this area, I'm not gonna use a custom facade to draw an awning. But let's go ahead and see what we can do with this basketball hoop area. And I'm not very keen, I don't want to say I'm not keen, I don't know enough about basketball to know if those lines are all supposed to be white or not. But we're going to make them all white, or at least we're going to draw them all white. They appear to be all white. So we've got our hanger, and then we've got kind of that 45-degree bend, then we've got another 45-degree bend. So we're parallel with our hanger again. So just past that bend is where we want to try and draw our, attempt to draw our basketball hoop area. Alright, bring one back up. Let's zoom in here. Let's see. So if we got our bearings right, so I would say right in here. And tell you what, I want to try and straighten up. Hold down the Alt key, and you can straighten up your bezier one handle at a time. Alright, that'll work. Okay. Let's see if we can do this. So we're looking for a solid white line. Let's get in here. Make a point there. Right about there. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to make a point there. Oh, sorry. Make a point there. Roughly. And another point there. Right, there's my outer line. Select tool, make sure your linear feature is selected. Hold down Alt, grab my middle point, and something of that sort. And then we can kind of move it to where we think it's about even. Okay. Again, we're going to do our solid white. I don't think there's any white that is wider. Road edge wide. see. Oh, how about that? Let's do that. Alright. Road edge wide. So we'll go back over here, we'll make this line attribute road edge wide. Where's it at? Road edge wide. I don't see it here. Let's see. It's on the left. Road edge wide. Road. There it is. Okay. There we go. And let's hop over to our 3D preview window and see what this looks like real quick. Yeah, and that happens is sometimes in as tight of a radius as this is, your linear curvature kind of shows up as tangents in the 3D preview window. The wider the arc, the wider the diameter, the less you would see the tangents defined. Okay, back to WED. Let's finish this up. So I want to make another line. Let's see, back to Earth. So kind of like that, and then like that. Put one here, one here, and then one maybe right there. And again, we can adjust these as need be with our select tool. Let's go Alt. Yeah, I mean, it's not awful. And then where's that other line kind of intersect that? So kind of right about there. Obviously that's crooked. Straighten that up a bit. I want to add another point in here. I'm going to add another point in here. By shortening the Bezier handle, I can straighten this up just a bit. There, I guess that looks a bit more like it. And then we will snap our vertical, or I guess technically our crossing line. Always try to snap as many vertices together as you can. Each vertex is a point that the CPU has to remember and has to remember to draw. The more vertices that there is, the more CPU heavy that airport becomes. Especially why a lot of your larger airports are so FPS killers, because of the amount of vertices. And not everyone knows that fact about those vertices and to snap them together and how they impact the performance. So just keep that in mind when you're working with WED. Okay, let's bring that, extend that. There we go. Now that we did all that, let's see if we can find a basketball hoop. Well, I'll be. We actually have one. So there's kind of a straight bar and an angled bar. As far as holding the backboard to the pole. I don't know how detailed I want to get with this thing. I don't even know if we would get that sort of. Even if we attempted to use a shadow, I don't know if we're going to get that sort of. Let's go with angled though. I like that one better. So we'll just slap that right there. And if that's the backboard, we don't want it there, we want it right about there. Alright, let's see how that looks. It'll look different in the simulator. It's not terrible. I guarantee 90% of people aren't even gonna know this place exists. But at least it'll be in the next when I do the next mesh cut for X-Plane 12, it'll be in there. Or just available for download. But that's kind of my goal, is just to give people more realistic options to emergency land at or land at if they're VFR, especially if they have ortho. That's my thing, is making sure everything kind of lines up with ortho. I think we're about good. What are we missing? Are we missing any relevant items in WED? Alright, let's move this basketball hoop down to objects. Let's group our lines together. Select one, hold down shift, select the last one. Or just like in Windows Explorer, you can control and select individual ones. Select everything you want to group together and go up to edit, hit group, or you can do the Control G shortcut. I can't remember them all. And we'll just call this lines. Everything within your airport needs to be below your airport. Doesn't really matter per se what order they're in. I kind of prefer a hierarchy, like I feel like a runway and the boundary should be on top of lines. But that's just my personal preference when I'm working through. Let's see what kind of fence we have. Just for Prosperity. Mesh. Now let's find a wooden fence. We know we have at least wood. Alright, so that's a privacy fence. Another privacy type fence. There's a picket fence. Oh, okay. We might have a couple of different options there. Alright, let's use that one. Fence wood number 7. And are we able to see this fence line? Tell you what. Let us modify our boundary just slightly so that we can draw this fence. Because remember, there are no objects, facades, forests, trees, nothing allowed outside of the airport boundary. Edmund Stoner, welcome back. We're finishing up our project from last week. Kind of really just started here. I've decided to modify the boundary to incorporate the fence and some trees, so we widened the boundary a little bit, keeping in mind that when they cut X-Plane 12's new mesh, that all of the autogen goes up to the boundary, so there's really no more need to fill the outside area anymore like there used to be in X-Plane 11. And that's why Julian, the gateway monitor, has been so tight about airport boundaries and what's allowed inside and what's allowed outside. But we widened the boundary slightly to add the fence. And the only other thing we did is we drew our basketball court that you pointed out last week. Let's take a quick look at that here. Again, in the 3D preview window. So there's our basketball court hoop. So that turned out pretty decently from what I can tell so far. We'll know more in game, in sim. Okay. What else do we need? We need at least one ramp start. We need at least one place for a plane to park and spawn in at. Alright. Tell you what. Jump back in WED. And okay. Select our ramp start tool. And we can kind of pre-select things up here at the top of the menu. It is going to be a tie down. Yeah. I mean, I guess technically it would be a hangar. No ramp equipment, size A. It's going to be a small aircraft, no ramp operation type. And we're going to put that right there. Just rotate it. Ramp start. So, let's call this runway boundary and ramp start. Okay. And we're gonna call our parking spot oops. That's right. It's gonna say oops. And the reason it's gonna say oops is because A, I find it comical, because if you're starting here, then you know that the airport is closed and you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. If you've landed here, it was probably by mistake, and I also think that may be kind of funny. So our ramp start is going to be called oops, because our airport is being submitted with this big X in front of the name. So when they look it up, they know it's closed already, and I think it would be funny. So, I got our ramp start, and we are going to need to provide a way to get to the runway, and we're going to do that with a transparent taxiway. We're going to go up here, click our taxiway tool. We're going to make it transparent. Remember, this is going to be rough. We made our runway roughness 1.0 because remember, it is very rough. It's crop, it's soybean. And we changed it to dirt from grass. So we're going to make our taxiway the same roughness. Actually, you know what? It actually is going to be grass, so we're not going to do that. We're going to give that one about a 0.6. And we're going to draw our transparent taxiway there. I mean, it really doesn't matter. From there. Okay. So there's actually trees there. Tell you what, we'll do it from. Okay, that'll work there. 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 It's just gotta connect. Essentially all it's gotta do. Okay, I didn't like that one. Alright. Taxiway, even a transparent one, still has to kinda intersect the runway just a little bit. And like I said, all I'm doing is giving it a connector. I'm going to join that vertex, that connect. Okay. So by joining my transparent taxiway vertex with my asphalt vertex. I'm doing the same up here. Once I joined both of those together, select one, hit Control, select the other one, and you've got the pair of them selected. You can hit Control Shift B, and what that will do is that will match your Bezier handles and join your polygons together seamlessly. So now that I've got a ramp start here, I technically need to turn this into a taxiway. So we're going to go up here to Edit, Convert to Taxiway, and concrete. Was it concrete or was it asphalt? Do we remember? It's more like asphalt. And okay. Let's bring our 3D preview window back up. Take a look around. Alright, so we got our ramp start, we've got our taxiway to the runway, we've got our closed X, we've got our driveway drawn, we've got our house, our pool. Alright, we need to draw our forest. What do I already have selected here? Conifer, very hot, sunny, dry, that's not gonna work. Let's go G8 maybe. Cold, dry, cold, rainy. See, an X-Plane 12 will take advantage of these forest definitions. As long as you don't use the old static standing tree objects. But X-Plane 12 will use these forest definitions, and they will be 3D. So we'll just go. We'll kind of make go-to. This kind of encompasses a bunch of different trees. Broad forest, cold, dry, and we're going to essentially do this whole thing. Alright. Got a forest definition there. We got one, two, remember we want to stay inside of our airport boundary. Alright, so we've got a couple forest definitions. Let's add one here, one here. Okay. I don't know how to do it. Oh, we're doing our fence too, weren't we? So before we do that, let's go over. And you know what? I am so sorry. I didn't even realize our 3D preview was still on. So essentially, what I did is I just drew our forest line here. And I drew our couple of forest sections right here. So I've got all of these selected. I'm going to go over here and group these as forests. Gonna move them below my airport name. We must make a new group called taxiways. I like everything to be in their own group, even if it's only one item. Again, probably just part of my OCD. But that way, in the future, I can kind of look down the line here and I can say, okay, my taxiways are in this taxiway grouping. Melvin Leroy, hello, welcome. I am working on a privately owned grass strip that was closed a couple years back. Working on it for the gateway. Still a landmark. Still can be used as emergencies. Be a rough landing though, I reckon. Started it last week. Gonna finish it up here and getting ready to export it. And we're gonna go and fly it and see how it is. And if all works well, we'll submit it to the gateway. Alright, so we got our basketball hoop drawn. We've got our basketball hoop, our ramp start. Again, I'm not going to worry about drawing this awning over here. I'd rather it just be kind of the rustic tin buildings that they are. It just matches the whole demographic area better. I think we're at a point where I can save this and we will export it over to the hard drive and load it up in the simulator and see how it does. You know, I'll go ahead and draw this one too. It's kind of a small section, so I don't know if it will render or not. All your smaller forest polygons don't render. Okay, I think that will do it. We've got our ramp start. Okay. Yep, I think that'll do it. Let's just lock this for now. I'm going to go over here, it's File, Save, File, Export. Ramp stars must have it. Well, yes, yes, yes. Let's see, unlock this. Go over here to our ramp start. See, alright, we're just gonna call this. I suppose it doesn't really matter. Okay, so X-Plane 12 is going. It sometimes will automatically populate an aircraft at a ramp start. And I was hoping to avoid that, but I'm not going to be able to avoid that. We'll make it wouldn't be a factor in X-Plane 11, but if you're in 12, you know, somebody might be flying over and then they're going to possibly see this aircraft that's going to possibly be rendered down here at this ramp start at this airport that's technically closed. So that may be a factor down the line. I don't know just yet. That's fine. We're just gonna give an equipment type prop. And what else were we gonna do? We were gonna do the fence. That's right. We were gonna do wood fence, number 7. Start there. There. And it was going all the way up to there. There. I'll tell you what, we're gonna terminate it right here at the tree line. Let's go back to our 3D preview window and see what our fence might look like. Okay, that's a picket style. Go back over here. We'll make sure our wooden fence facade is selected. And we're going to let's see. Alright, that's how we're gonna leave it. What I thought might be more of like a split rail fence is actually a fence gate, and that's not what we're after. However, I don't mind the look of this picket fence. Alright, so let's move our fence down to, which I don't have a facades group yet. So we're gonna make that put it in its own group. So we've got our facades there, and we're gonna drag that out. Try to keep everything grouped together. Even if it's one item, I try to keep it in its own group. And remember, everything stays below your airport. Alright, let's take another quick look at our 3D preview window. See how we're looking. Alright, we've got our closed X. Got our fence. Alright. Remember, there's going to be no wind indicators at this field. Alright, I think we're ready to lock it, save it, and export it. We made sure our metadata was all up to date. Yes, we did. Okay. Right. Airport's locked. Save. Export. Alright, I'm gonna take about a 5-minute intermission. I'm gonna get this airport copied over into X-Plane 12 and get it started up initially. Once the initial load happens, then we'll be able to bounce back and forth relatively quickly. But I'm gonna take a quick intermission and get this, like I said, get this copied over, get the symbolic link created, and I will be right back with you. Alright, there we are. Yep, I've got it loading up now. We're gonna test this two different ways. We're gonna test it one way. We're gonna see what it looks like two different ways. We always need to check it with default X-plane first and foremost. Because default X-plane is what it's going to look like with X-plane when it's shipped out. So we need to make sure that we don't have any incursions with roads, forests, trees, objects, things that we didn't put there. If we did, then we have to exclude those. If everything looks good in default X-plane 12, then we will reload it again with how I fly, which is with our ortho photos and X World America and different object libraries, things, and basically how the end user would probably fly X-plane. So, want to kind of make sure it looks good in both regards. Sometimes there's a balance point that I need to take into account too. I've got an event coming up that I'm hosting with the Virtual USA Flying Club that's up in Alaska. And I did about 7 new airports for this event, and some of the Alaskan imagery is rather dated, so I was able to find some newer Bing imagery which I can use. But I was able to use the Bing imagery to kind of draw the new buildings and whatnot when I loaded it up in my simulator, which I've got the entire state of Alaska done in ARC at that one specific airport. That one specific terminal just didn't quite line up because the footprint was different. But the end user wouldn't know about it unless they were using ortho. So sometimes there's a balance. Edmund Stoner, I use ortho, or I use ARC imagery probably 99% of the time, and the primary reason I do that is simply because that's what 90% of a lot of the airport scenery is done on, is ARC imagery. So I strive for everything to kind of line up when I'm flying over it, which is again why I've kind of started with my home airport, and I'm circling my way around, knocking out a lot of these 2D strips that don't have a boundary and aren't lined up with anything. So, alright, we're loaded up there. I've got to get my flying shoes on. Gotta grab my headset out of my flight bag because it's still there from yesterday. They cut you off. Had to have them allow. And who cut you off? That's interesting. ARC or the gate? Or the gateway did? Oh, ArcGIS. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, that's. I really don't know. That's interesting. And I wasn't sure how things would be violated. I thought it was. My understanding is it's open source, which is why X-Plane is allowed to use it with their world editor. Alright, so yeah, I think we're ready to head to the aircraft. I've got this airport loaded up in default X-Plane. So, let me grab my headset. I'm gonna need that. And I'm gonna need this kneeboard. Probably gonna need this and this and grab this and just gonna have to make 2 trips to the airplane. Alright, I'll see you over there in just a moment. Alright. Sometimes the delay between what I'm doing and what I see is kind of weirds me out. Like, did my camera freeze? But looks like everything's working. Okay, we're in default X-Plane 12 with our newly created airport, and surprisingly as thin as our tree forest. We drew those forest definitions, and as thin as they were, let's pop up, let's exit, we're gonna slew up here. As thin as they were, I'm surprised that it drew. We're gonna rotate down. So yeah, it drew that tree line. So that's cool. Alright. Remember I said that X-Plane 12 takes advantage of those forest definitions. Okay. So we've got our trees around the house here. That looks good. Hey, check out our basketball court. That turned out pretty good. Okay. Got a swimming pool there. Let's take a stroll down our driveway that we created. Alright, that feels good there. Alright. Let's take a quick stroll down our runway. Make sure there's no sort of funny elevation issues in it. Okay. look like we're gonna need any exclusion zones for default X-plane. Let's go ahead and open up X Organizer, which I use. I highly if you deal with a lot of scenery, I highly recommend X Organizer. It is a paid program. It is payware, but it does come in quite handy. So when I test scenery, and it is also the recommended way to test scenery, you will need to make sure that everything else is disabled. You want to make sure that your global airports are disabled. The only airport that you want enabled when you are testing X-plane airports for X-plane is the airport that you're working on. So let's go back over here, normal scenery, let me unlock that. Go over here to Ohio. Alright, let's check there. Okay. So we will restart X-plane 12 with our ortho photos and X World America and Global Forest version 2 and see how it looks. And I wouldn't be surprised if we need exclusion zones. New flight. We're gonna start right at our ramp start, which we named Oops. Alright, I can tell you right now this isn't gonna work. Let's hit the C button so we can ascend up out of here and let's see what we have going on. Alright. Okay, tree-wise, we don't have anything doubled up that I can tell. Building-wise, however, we definitely have some double ups here. Alright, so we're gonna need some exclusion zones. And definitely for buildings, I'm sorry, for objects, and for facades. And, okay, so these are our trees either. Yeah, buildings, facades, and forests. Gonna have to exclude that area. The fence doesn't seem to be affected. Oh, wow, are these power lines right here? Are those across the street? Nope, those are on this side. Are they? Yep, they're on this side of the street. It's gonna be interesting. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna have to put some exclusion zones in for objects, forests, and facades. And we just need to do that in this general area. Alright,
We'll see you back in the FBO. We'll take care of that real quick, and we'll reload back up and see how we do.
Alright, so here we are back in WED. We're concerned with this area here and this area here only. Exclusion zones are done in squares, and just like your vertexes, the CPU has to remember each exclusion zone. So, back in the day, you could took a big exclusion zone and put it over the whole airport. That's not good practice nowadays. You use smaller exclusion zones and exclude smaller areas. And none of the exclusion zones that were done in WED version 2.4 have carried over into X-Plane 12, which is, if you do use your SimHeaven products in X-Plane 12, you may notice a lot of double ups at airports because the artist's initial exclusion zones, when they were possibly doing their testing, didn't carry over. So we're going to create an exclusion zone, and we're going to just go, say, here. We'll widen that up just a bit. Okay. I want to exclude objects, facades, and forests. Okay. Right, Control Shift D to duplicate that. We're gonna put one right here. Control Shift D to duplicate that. We'll move it down. Control Shift D. You get the idea here. See what I'm doing? I made an exclusion zone. I excluded what I wanted. And I'm placing them accordingly, because I didn't necessarily want to exclude this area of forest per se. And let's just put another one just to be on the safe side right here, and I'll bring it over this way. And I can exclude forests where I've drawn forests. In fact, it's probably a good idea. That way you're not duplicating your 3D forests there. Alright, let's try that. We've got our multiple exclusion zones again. I'm gonna select them all, edit, group, exclusion zones. Move that down below there. I like exclusion zones to be all the way at the bottom. It's just personal preference. Save that. Export it. Then I'm going to copy and paste that in there, replace those files. Alright, let's go back to the aircraft and we will reload the scenery.
Bush Outfitters, hello, welcome. Answer your questions real quick. The front screen is 75-inch 4K. The two side displays are 32-inch 1080p monitors. Okay, so I'm gonna go up here. See, we just copied our new scenery developer, and then reload the scenery. And what that's gonna do is it's going to reload my scenery pack, and it's going to put those exclusion zones in, and then we should be able to see our um, scenery showing through. And if everything looks good, we will go ahead and take it up. Well, Bush Outfitters, I will tell you, um, because I know that you do a lot with Flight Simulator 2020. If you put yourself in that sort of scenario like me, if you're gonna go with a sort of a front and then two side displays, please note that you cannot adjust your zoom level independently. So while everything, you may have everything dialed in good and looking good on the front, your side displays are not necessarily going to match geometrically with your front. So while you may think you're on a nice downwind and you think you got a nice 45 when you're looking at your left window here, uh, you go to make your base and your final, and then all of a sudden you've overshot your runway because your perspective was off, because you thought the runway was so far, because your zoom was so small on the 1080 compared to the 4K monitor that you have in front. I am anxiously waiting for them to further develop their experimental because it's still in experimental, and you'll still find it in the experimental tab there. And I'm waiting for them to at least add a slider for zoom. Once they add a slider for zoom, then yeah, VFR in this thing would be stunning. Um, in Flight Simulator 2020, but until they do that, I can hardly fly in here because I'm so used to a normal perspective. You know, everything's the same size, so I know when I'm on my 45 that I can make my base and I'll be fine. Um, so just bear that in mind if you're debating on going that route with Flight Simulator 2020. I will say again, the only way Flight Simulator 2020 benefits currently is if all of your displays are matching size and resolution. Yep, he sure does. And Again, they are all the same resolution. So, okay, we reloaded our scenery. Oh, what did I do here? Oh, I didn't want to start that up. Okay. Alright, that looks better. Alright, so you can see our buildings. Swimming pool, patio, or yeah, that looks good. We've got our tree line here. That looks good. Alright, I think we're ready to fly it. Hello, honey. Alright, let's see where we're at so we know where we're going. Okay, so we're not too far actually from my home field. So yesterday I did my first cross country with my instructor. Yeah, it was yesterday. This was the route we flew, and it's also going to be the same route as my solo cross country. So, alright, so we've got enough time to probably do a couple trials. Remember, I made this runway really rough, so we're going to do maybe one or two in the pattern here, and then head on over to my home field. Which so about 048 degrees for about 30 miles. Okay. 048 degrees for about 30 miles. Which plane are we in? We want to be in our Cessna 172 rep. I can't really tell you anything about this airport because, like I said, it's technically closed. Excuse me, technically closed and not charted. But it is a north-south runway. Um, when we take off, we're going to take off to the north. There are some power lines that I noticed that were there at the south threshold. Well, yeah, it might be interesting to try and take off to the south and clear that obstacle. Alright, let's make sure we have our appropriate checklist. We're going to be in the Sierra Papa Reality Expansion Pack 172. Taking its good old time to load up this time. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's get this bird started up. She's cold, she's been sitting for a while. Um, let's do a quick walk around. Let's see. Wheels and tires look good. Don't see any signs of oil leaks. Prop looks alright. Exhaust is in place. Fuel caps are in line. Are installed in a streamline. Baggage door is tight and secure. Elevator's working. Rudder's working. Ailerons are working. VOR antenna's in place. A strobe on the right with the green. Taxi light, landing light. Strobe on the left with the red. And our beacon's working. And our pitot heat is warm to the touch. Get all those loads back off. Alright, now let's go ahead and get started up here. Please go ahead and keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the duration of the flight. If you do get uncomfortable though, please just let me know so we can terminate the flight. Do me a favor, go ahead and tug on that for me. Alright, good, thank you. Okay, got our tack time, Hobbs time. Okay, circuit breakers are all in, alternate static is in. Alright, start checklist. Seat and track, let's get scooted up here. There we are. Avionics are off, our autopilot is off. Mixture's full lean, throttle's quarter. Brakes going on. Clear prop. It's clear on the left, clear on the right, and clear in front. Master on. Beacon on. Fuel pump. Rich. Lean. Fuel pump off. Alright. And max to start, and mixture's gonna go to rich. She was a little bit flooded out there. turn our landing light on for safety. Gotta wait a little while for our oil temperature to come up. Alright, that concludes our start checklist. Gonna move right along to our pre-taxi checklist. The seat belts, let's get these on. We're definitely gonna need these on this bumpy runway, I can guarantee you that. In fact, I've never modeled a runway with a 1.0 roughness, so we'll see exactly how bad it actually is. Avionics going on. Tell you what, let's connect to VATSIM just because. Looks like I need to update XPilot. Alright, Unicom is 122.8. What else do we have on our pre-taxi checklist? Flaps going up. Avionics are on. What can we grab for some weather? Marysville's closest. Wind's 220, so wind that puts right. That's kind of out of the west there, so I'll be happy using Marysville. 220 at 5, visibility 10, altimeter 3010. Temperature -2, dew point -4. Yeah, we should be good. Clear below 12,000. 3010. So that puts us here about 1,000 feet. So yeah, that's about right for this area. It's about right. Fuel wise, got 3/4 tank. Got plenty of fuel to get to where we need to go. Which we're a daytime VFR. How much fuel do we need? Enough to get to our destination plus half hour. And what did we say our destination heading was from where we are? And if we were to go, we would have piloted this all the way. About 048 degrees, 30 miles. And then I can expect to be a beam, Delaware, at about 10 miles. So 048, it's a heading I want to fly. Okay, what else we got? Avionics, ATIS, altimeter, transponder, mode Charlie, ADS-B with our nav lights, turn coordinator, attitude indicator, and brakes. We're going to test on the roll. Let's go ahead and get our taxi light on. Remember, we're in a closed airport, so we want to make sure that we need what we're seeing. Then heading indicator to compass. Looks like right around 260-ish, 260, right around there. Alright, parking brake also going off. Don't want to give too high RPM yet. Our engine's still a bit cold. But I know that I also made this kind of rough. Don't want to hit that basketball hoop. Alright, did we decide that we're gonna take the southbound runway? I think that's what we decided, so we can clear those obstacles, those power lines at the end. We'll go down here and we'll do a run up. Man, that is a rough runway. -0°C out. Okay, so it's pretty cool. I'm not too worried about which direction we're facing. Although, let me get over to the center line here. Okay, run up checklist. Fuel is on boat. Trim. Set for takeoff. Flight controls down on the right, up on the left, down on the left, up on the right. Elevator, rudder, free and correct. Okay, I still don't know why we got a vacuum light on the annunciator panel. Our mag drop last time was fine, we'll check it again. Okay, mixture, let's go best power. And 1800, here we go. Brakes on. Left mag, there's a drop. There's a drop on our right mag. Suction is good. Oil temperature, oil pressure. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that vacuum light there. Unless that's a data ref issue between the rep package and Air Manager, but I don't imagine that being the case. Alright, let's try it. Heading indicator to compass, that's good there. Yep, there's really not even a way to make a radio call, don't know who we're talking to. Like, we can't announce departure out of some place that we really aren't. It's not really an airport. So that's alright. Let's just make sure we can clear these power lines at the end. So we will do a performance takeoff. Okay, brakes are on. Make sure it's full of it. Holding the brakes. Let's go full power. Let's make sure she's building that. Alright, and let's let go of the brakes and hold that rudder. Here's our airspeed. Alright, climb out at 60. Alright, clear obstacle. Alright. I'm staying a little bit low. And we're actually making a right-hand pattern instead of left. But I want to see you to see, us to see what this airport looks like. Or air, you know, grass strip. Oh man, I lost it. Where's it at? We're gonna hang out here right around pattern altitude. Alright, I see it. Let's go. We're passing the runway right here, just past the strut. There's the hangar and the pool. Okay, so the X doesn't look too bad. M9, hello, welcome. I suppose you are correct. My airport, my rules. In that regard. Surprisingly, coincidentally, there's a break in the ortho there. Alright, let's circle around, see if we can land it. We're about to beam the numbers, or so-called numbers. There we are, power back. Looking for about 1600. Flaps 10. Alright, airstrip is in sight. Remember, we've got some power lines that are overhead. 70 knots. Power's back. Obstacles clear. Let's drop down in there. Slip it if we need to. Acceptable landing. Flaps up. Full power. Are we gonna make it? I certainly would not recommend that. Alright. Let's try it again from this end. And we can land at this end. I would say this one's good. Now submit it to the gateway. Alright. Tell you what, let's try an exercise. made this turn sharp enough. Alright. I was all the way to idle. See if we can get it in there with power off. Although it is pretty cold, so the plane's probably going to perform pretty decently. We did have a bit of a tree obstacle on this threshold as well. Alright, let's put in 10 degrees of flaps. We're pretty high and pretty hot. Yep, I think this will work. I'll submit this one to the Scenery Gateway. Because there's a closed airport. We're not going to clear that obstacle. Although if we do flaps 10, we might get this one. Full power. Hold the brakes. Nose back. Alright, she's spooled up. Let the brakes off. Hold that rudder. Hold that rudder. She just doesn't want to get up in ground effect, does she? There it is. Ground effect for airspeed. I'm gonna have to look at the rep manual and see what the soft field, short field, soft field takeoff procedures are. See if they're modeled a little bit differently. Alright, flaps are going out. Need a heading, what did I say, about 048 degrees. I was gonna join the pilot club for their weekly GA Tuesday event tomorrow, but I think it's gonna be out of the country. So I don't know if that will suit what I want to do. So I'm not sure what we're gonna get into tomorrow. I may duplicate the cross country that I flew yesterday. We may end up going back to Utah and doing some more of the Bush League flying, trying to find some more of those airports. Let's climb up 3,000. So yeah, I think that'll work. I don't foresee any need to make any sort of additions or changes to that. I think that airport will suit just fine for the gateway. If you have just recently joined us, we just departed out of an airport that's been closed for a couple years now. Um, so we went ahead and did new scenery for it, reflecting it as a closed airport. So we just departed out of it, and we're gonna head to my home airport and park for the night. Our destination is 4 India Niner. Temperature is -1 degree Celsius. We don't have any visible moisture. I'm curious if we can get Delaware's ATIS, the 119.025.
Automated weather observation. Delaware municipal wind light and variable. Visibility 9 miles. Sky clear. Temperature 0. Dew point -5. Altimeter 3011.
3011. Alright. There's our first checkpoint, Delaware. Delta Lima Zulu, right here. Remember when we were plotting that out? So Delaware was 10 miles. So if we maintain this heading, it should take us straight to our field. Alright, this is the city of Delaware. Okay, so that is 42. Couple clouds we need to steer clear of. Okay. Here's the Delaware Reservoir. It's kind of my next checkpoint. I wandered away from my heading there for a little while. There's the reservoir, so we've got about 15 more miles or so. I'll make a traffic call, we're about 10 miles.
Automated weather observation. Delaware municipal wind light and variable. Visibility 9 miles. Sky clear.
We can take 10 or 28 at Morrow County. Morrow County traffic, November 8033 Foxtrot, 8 to the west, landing 28 Morrow County. Alright, there's Cardington. It's gonna be my last checkpoint. Need to be at 2100 for pattern, so I'm gonna start my descent. I'm gonna pull the power out, just push it over, and just get down there. 2200. Morrow County traffic, November 8033 Foxtrot is on the 45 for the left downwind, 28 Morrow County. $2100. Let's power back and trim here. Morrow County traffic, November 8033 Foxtrot, left downwind, 28 Morrow County. I beam the numbers, power back, showtime. $1,600. Give me flaps 10. Let's pitch for 80. Alright, leave it 45. Flaps 2. For about 70 knots. Morrow County, November 8033 Foxtrot, left base 28, full stop, Morrow County. Little short, be alright. Doesn't help the fact that I have to use the restroom. So this may be a stop and go. I may stop and then go, and then come back and park the plane. Hate to do it. We're gonna go park now, or go to the restroom now. Oh man, I was probably a really bad host for having to do that. I'm so sorry. But I will land us comfortably now. Alright, so our airspeed 60, a little uncoordinated. We got this though. Looking for about 60, but I don't want that sync rate to kick in either. again. Let's do another one in the pattern. Airspeed, rotate, positive rate, climb out at VY, we'll make our crosswind about 1,800 feet. Morrow County traffic, November 803 Foxtrot, left crosswind 28, full stop, Morrow County. There's pattern. Morrow County traffic, November 8033 Foxtrot, turning left downwind 28, full stop, Morrow County. I want to extend my downwind a little bit. I want to get myself on a nice stabilized final approach. Alright, there we are, beam the numbers. And we're 2,100 feet, 90 knots, so spring power to 1,600. Flaps 10. Morrow County, November 8033 Foxtrot, left base 28, Morrow County. Let's see if we can't hold it in ground effect a bit longer and get a better landing. And this is going to be our last stop for the day. Morrow County, November 8033 Foxtrot, left base to final 28, full stop, Morrow County. Oh. Approach speed 65 knots. hold it. We side loaded our gear, it looks like. At least we got a better landing rate. Flaps up. So this here is my home airport, where I took off from yesterday for my cross country. So I think that's what we'll do tomorrow. We will fly my route that I did yesterday for my rear world cross country, and we will compare the additional 2 airports in X-Plane to what I know they look like now. This one's pretty good to go. I did this one, but if those since I'm going to use the same route for my solo cross country, I figure I may as well go ahead and do the airports up if they're not done. Okay, let's go put this bird back. And she lives. Gotta anticipate this little hill here. She lives in this hangar right here. Alright, let's secure our aircraft. All of our lights going off. Let's disconnect from VATSIM. Avionics going off. G5 going down. Mixture to lean. Mags to off and master to off. Okay, short and sweet. Here is where we took off from. Yeah, that's a decent flight. Let's head back over to the FBO and we'll submit that airport to the scenery gateway. Okay. I'll see you back over there.
Well, there we have it. I can't even tell you where we took off from. It doesn't even have an identifier anymore. But we took off from a closed airport about 30 miles southwest of Morrow County. We just finished it up in the World Editor. So tested it out. It is usable. It is landable. So I think we're ready to go ahead and submit this one. Let's head back over to World Editor and make sure that we don't have any final changes we need to make. I do want to refine these lines. No, they'll be alright. I thought they might be too thick, but they'll be fine. Looks good. All of our exclusion zones were working. Our fence looks good. I'm not gonna worry about sprucing up the entrance too much. A lot of your terrain polygons don't show in X-Plane. They don't transfer to X-Plane 12. So we'll just leave that driveway like it is there. Of course, yeah, we're done with this. Let's double check, make sure we don't have anything rogue outside of our boundary. And we do not. The tree line. That's close, but we're good there. Alright, I think we're good. So we'll go over here to File. Lock that. Save it. Make sure the airport's highlighted. Then we go to File, Export to Scenery Gateway. And this is behind the scene. I can't really show this part. It's a separate window and it doesn't show up. But when you export to the Scenery Gateway, another window will show up where you would log in with your username and password. And then comments, I'm just going to write this closed airstrip. This closed airstrip, which was privately owned, is now 3D. Injected airport boundary and added assets reconciling with current ESRI. Do I want to say anything else about this airport? This airstrip is closed which was privately owned. And is now 3D. And able to be used as a This airstrip is closed, which was privately owned, and is now 3D and able to be used as a VFR landmark or an emergency landing strip. Injected airport boundary and added assets reconciling with current ESRI. The runway is rough. Don't think that we need to put anything else in our comment section. Yeah, I can't really put any additional metadata in there. So I think we'll be good. Alright, let's send that up. Upload that one. There we go. Alright. Flying with Mike, hello. Welcome. And welcome, Raiders. We just finished designing an airport for X-Plane. We actually just submitted it to the gateway. So, fortunately, it just caught us right at the very end of our stream for the night. But we can do this real quick, and we will go over here and just kinda. So this is a grass strip. That's local to me here in Central Ohio, but it is closed. It's no longer charted, and I went to request removal from the scenery gateway because it is closed, but technically it can still be seen as a VFR landmark and possibly even used for emergencies. So I went ahead and modeled it real quick for X-Plane between last week and one day last week and today, and we tested it today and did pretty well, and just submitted that to the gateway. So, but again, unfortunately, we are getting ready to finish things up for the night. But Mike, thank you so much for that raid. I do appreciate it. I hope you had a great stream as well. Tomorrow, now that we've got our airport done, we can do some more focusing on some flying. Like I said, I'd like to recreate my cross country from yesterday, and that's provided that there's another event going on that we can't catch or fly into. So, yeah, I think that's it. Let's see who we can send you over to finish off your evening for the rest of your continued entertainment. Let's see. He may just, looks like. Alright. So we're going to go and visit my friend DreamNid. Looks like he's just getting started. He is doing a short cross-country flight with no GPS. Looks like he is doing a practice run for an event that's coming up with the Virtual USA Flying Club. So we'll go and raid him. Like I said, looks like he's just getting started, so it should be a good show. So, until we see each other again next time, you all take care and stay safe. And like I said, it's been a great pleasure building this airport with you and flying it with you. So, Edmund Stoney, you're quite welcome, and always a pleasure. So, flying is fun, but always more fun when it's more than one, and you all make that happen. So, take care, have yourself a great night, and we will go and say hello to DreamNet. Till the next time.